Hello everyone, my name is Sultan. I'm a histopathology trainee in East of England, and in today's video I'll be talking about self-assessment score, which is part of your histopathology training application. I'll talk about what self-assessment score is briefly and its role in your application. I'll explain various components of the self-assessment score. I'll also show you guys what I uploaded in my self-assessment score. I'll also give you some tips about how you can best score. When you apply for histopathology training in the UK, part of your application will require you to score yourself against a self-assessment score criteria. And based on that score, they will give the highest scoring individual interviews. And then after the interviews conclude, you will get a score on your interviews. Now, in the past, they used to combine the self-assessment score and the interview score to give you a total score which will get you a job. I've realized that recently they've changed that, and your final score, which will they give offers to candidates, is based only on the interview score. So you can find all the information on the official website, and I'll leave a link down below. And every time you are planning to apply, please check if there are any changes. They keep that website regularly updated. So another thing to keep in mind is that you're only allowed to use one evidence in one domain. You can see that there are multiple domains, and I'll walk you through each one of them briefly. Now, the trick is not to get the highest score in each domain, because that is theoretically, well, it's not impossible, but it will take a lot of work and a lot of time to score, to maximize your scores. Now, the trick is that you get some points in each domain. In my application in maybe around 2022, I got maybe around 57% or 60, like somewhere between 57 and 60% of the score, and that still gave me an interview. So you don't have to score 100%. So the first domain is the undergraduate degrees. Now, many people don't have this because this is an additional undergrad degree. Imagine you have another degree before starting medicine, which you've scored a first class honors. Now, the terminology is slightly different because the American system gives A, B, and C, etc., whereas the British system goes with first class or 2.1 or 2.2. You can convert that online. You can just Google how your grade converts to the British system, but you can still use the same evidence without actually converting it. Now, I did not have any of that, so I had 0. I'll walk through my own application as well. So the postgraduate degrees are degrees that you have attained after finishing your medical school. Now, as well, I didn't have any of that, so I scored 0 on that domain. Well, not everyone applying for histopathology will have a PhD or a master's degree, so don't worry about it if you do not have anything at all. And with both of these evidences, the undergrad and postgraduate degrees, all you need to upload is your actual degree. Presentations and posters, you will notice that the histopathology related presentations will always score slightly higher than non-histopathology achievements. Let's say, for example, you've done an oral presentation at a conference. If they have given you a certificate, which they usually should, that you've presented X, Y, and Z, you can use that as an evidence. If you do not have that certificate, you can get a letter which clearly says that you have presented X, Y, and Z. And you can start your letters with "to whom it may concern." You don't have to make your letter very specific to a certain deanery. It should have your name, and it should have the achievement you've done, and then it should be stamped and signed off by, let's say, the coordinator of that conference. So in my case, I did an oral presentation about the research that we've done in the Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health. So it was a pediatric research which I have made a poster, and I took that poster and I presented it in an international conference. Upon completion, I got a certificate that said, "Sultan have done this and that and presented this topic in our international conference." Next domain is publications. The most important bit is that it should be PubMed cited. Obviously, research will score you much higher, well, not a lot higher, a little bit higher than case reports. Now, I would recommend that you do at least one case report. If you are part of a research, that's great, but many people are not part of research. So instead of spending so much time to do multiple papers and scoring just 1 point maybe more than your peers, you can focus your energy, you can do one case report and focus your energy on other domains. Once that research is published, you can use that paper as an evidence, and they can clearly see your name up there as a co-author or a lead author. The next domain is the teaching experiences. Now, this is the tricky bit as well, because they require that you, for example, design and organize a teaching program for a period of approximately 3 months. And I'll explain later how I lost a few points here, because I did a huge teaching initiative back when I was in university. We did around 100 bedside teachings, we did mock exams, and all of that took a period of around 3 months. But unfortunately, the evidence I uploaded, what I'm just going to show you now, it has my name and it says that I am the coordinator of that teaching initiative. But unfortunately, that certificate does not say for how long. So I was underscored in that domain as a reason. Though if you are watching this video, then you can start preparing those evidences appropriately that state the exact duration of your teaching initiative. If you want to create a letter, that's also appropriate in this case. You can put your certificate and you can attach a letter with it, but you just keep it one document, because you can only upload one document in the portal for each domain. And in that letter, you can just simply copy and paste this paragraph. Obviously, write it nicely, keep your name there with that paragraph somewhere in the letter, saying that whoever is signing and stamping your letter, they can confirm that you have led or designed or organized such teaching over a period of 3 months, and they should give the dates, for example, sign it and stamp it. That would probably be a better evidence than what I have uploaded. Learn from my mistakes and probably get a better evidence in this domain. Now, training and teaching, I would advise that you can do teach the teacher courses. Just Google teach the teachers for medical on Google, and you will find a lot of courses. You can pick and choose whichever is more affordable, whichever has virtual sessions. And in those sessions, it should be more than 2 days. So they know what they're doing. Those people who make those sessions make it for us who are trying to apply. So they'll make it like 3 days so that you can tick that box. They'll give you a certificate and you can use it. Now make sure you do all of that well ahead in time, because you cannot score anything if you have not completed the course and got the certificate before submitting your application. Next is the quality improvement project. Now, quality improvement project is just like an audit, because all you need to do is an audit, and then you do an action based on your audit, and then you apply it in your clinic or in your hospital, and then present the whole thing in a meeting. So this is actually one of the things that you can do within a span of like 3 months or 4 months. I recommend putting your effort in things like this, which are achievable, attainable, and you can get them quickly. So in the leadership and management, anything from, let's say you're a rota coordinator, or you are organizing the journal club in your hospital. I was the interns representative in my hospital. Now, this requires that you hold that position of leadership or managerial role for 6 or more months, and you demonstrate a positive impact. This can also be proven by a letter. Now, the issue I had is that Bahrain is a small country. I was the intern representative representing the interns in my hospital, but it's so small that the country is so small that does not have actually regions. So I did not know, do I qualify as a region or do I qualify as national? So I wasn't too sure. So I underscored myself here, but then the panel decided that I actually qualify for more points, and they've given me a few more points. It's not common for them to overscore you. They usually would, most of the time they underscore you, but it can happen if you're not sure. National would be representing your hospital. Regional would be obviously representing within the hospitals in your region or in your city, whereas local would be something like a rota coordinator. The next domain is commitment to histopathology specialty. Now, this is actually a gold mine, because if you do a taster week, which is an elective, they call them taster weeks in the UK, for more than 2 days, let's say you do 3 days in histopathology department, and then you get a certificate or a letter for completing that elective period, you can score 10 points. Now, I've done a foundation year program block, which is like 4 months in histopathology, but someone who did 3 days in histopathology will score 10 points, just as much as I did. So focus your energy in domains where you can score a lot, rather than trying to get a PhD or a master's degree, which could take at least a year or more. The last domain is histopathology related activities. If you have completed, obviously research is quite hard. If you have that, that's great. Then you probably don't need this video. Otherwise, if you have done a poster related to histopathology, or you've completed an audit, which is what I did, and that scored me 6 points. So I used that as an evidence. So completing an audit in histopathology is very easy. Once you do your taster week, just tell the consultant, I want to do an audit, and they'll be more than happy to give you an audit, because at least in the UK, all consultants require to have a certain amount of audits per year. So if you do that audit with them, they can actually take that point as well for their revalidation purposes. So everyone would love to give you their audits to do. So it's a win-win situation for you both. So that was a quick run through of the self-assessment score. I encourage you to go to the website and read every single domain and see what applies to you. Now let's go to my own self-assessment score. This is my self-assessment score from 2022. So this is where I score, so applicant score, this is what I gave myself, and then this is what the panel decided I deserve. As I said, undergrad, postgrad, I didn't have any degrees, so I've put 0. Presentations, I've given myself 4, and they said that I deserve 4. And in publications as well, I had a PubMed cited case reports, and I've used that. And then in the teaching experiences, now, as I said, I've done a big teaching initiative, so I've given myself 10, and I've put the evidence, but unfortunately they did not approve of that evidence, and they've underscored me to 4. So that's how you can learn from my own mistakes and probably get an appropriate letter that explains exactly what you've done. Obviously, I'm trying to be as honest as I can, so please do not try to play the system, because if you try to overscore yourself where clearly there is no reason for you to do so, that will be a big probity concern, and you could not only lose your application, but they can completely ban you of applying ever with the GMC. Training and teaching, I've done the Teach the Teacher course, and I got a few points there, 2 points, and they've awarded me 2. As a quality improvement project, now I believe that I have played a role in designing and the implementation of quality improvement project, but unfortunately, because I have uploaded a certificate, and that certificate did not say the words that I've designed and implemented such thing, where I actually did, but they have underscored me to 2 because they said, well, it's not clear documentation. So these are the areas where you should not only put your certificate, but also maybe attach a letter with it that explains what you've done and how you've achieved those let's say milestones or achievements, and have it signed by your head of department or the coordinator or whoever is leading these audits. In the leadership and management, as I said, I was an intern representative, but I was not too sure whether that was local or regional or national. Since I live in a country that is so small, such terms are not used. So I've given myself 4, but when they looked at it, they said, well, that actually qualifies as a national. Just be mindful that that's not a common scenario. Now, commitment to histopathology, as I said, I have done foundation year program training and got 10 points. Histopathology related activities, I've done an audit and then I've presented it and I got an 8. So as you can see now, most of my scores came from these activities that required very little amount of time, like doing an audit and doing a foundation program, or let's say a taster week, doesn't take a lot of time, but that gives you a lot of points in your self-assessment score. You can see some comments obviously here about why they've given me less scores. They've mentioned that I've overscored due to either poor documentation or misinterpretation of the criteria. Now, if you do that, if you overscore yourself accidentally or just because you believed you deserve that evidence, then that wouldn't be a huge issue. But if you overscore yourself where there's absolutely no reason for you to do so and clearly no evidence, then that might be a very big concern. Now, with that score back in the day, that landed me an interview, and because I scored really well in my interview, I was able to get a job. I do Histopathology ST1 interview crash course every year, which I'll leave a link down below. Interviews are now more important than ever because unlike the past where they use self-assessment and interviews, now the score is primarily based on your interview score. Make sure to sign up as soon as possible. I usually open my crash course registration around the period of interviews. I'll leave a link down below. Many of the people who did my interview eventually ended up landing a job. So this was a quick run through about the self-assessment score and what I did. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you soon.